record this session. Yeah, that's it. So as I was saying before, we're going to be working today in our class number 7.2, ready? And this class is going to be like a little bit like a second part, like a continuation of the class of the last class, but it's going to have also a little bit like a new part, ready? I'm going to start with a new question here. It's nothing difficult. Well, I would like to ask you, who is a financial coach? Do you understand the person financial coach? What do you think is that? What do you think it's a financial
Maybe it's a
coach? Mhm.
person. Maybe it's a person who help you to understand the money world. I don't know, the financial world.
Good, very good. So it's a person who helps you to understand, to help you understand finances, right? Like money, investment, finances. Good, very good. Thank you, Annie. It's a person who does that, right? In terms of that, well, it's a person who helps you with, for example, with a budget. No, it's a person who helps you to create a budget. Do you know what is the meaning of the word budget? What is the meaning of the word budget?
Presupuesto.
Presupuesto, very good. So it's an amount of money that we have for an amount of time, like the money that we have in a month, or the money that we have in a week, no, that we have to spend. So the second question here today, it's going to be like, how can be a budget prepared, or how can a budget be prepared? Any ideas? What are the steps to create a budget? How can a budget be prepared? What are the steps if I want to prepare a budget? What do I have to do first? What do I have to do second? Any ideas? No ideas?
Como lo que estaba diciendo la compañerita, o sea, cómo preparar ese presupuesto,
Yes,
algo así,
exactly.
cómo
What are the steps?
organizarlo, cómo
But,
ponerle un orden al presupuesto, no sé.
o sea, what are the steps to create a budget? O sea, a budget, it
¿Cómo
requires
puede
an
ser?
steps. How can be the
Information with the banks.
Sorry, Paul, again?
Information of the banks.
Okay, very good. So information, maybe information can be good. Information can be gotten. Can be gotten. Yes, good. Okay, very good. Anything else? Any other thing?
Maybe maybe you need to know how much money do you have.
Exactly, important. You need to know how much, oh, sorry, how much is your income? What is the meaning of income? Any idea what is the meaning of, perdón, sorry, wait. Income.
Ingresos.
Ingresos, very good. So you need to know how much is your income, right? That's the most important part, right? After that, you need to know, let's move this thing, let's move the question here. Let's move the question over here. So the second part is that you need to determine your expenses, no? So you need to determine determine your expenses. What is the meaning of expenses?
Gastos.
Gastos, very good. So the income is the money that enters.
Teacher, in the month?
Yes, exactly. Well, expenses in the month, or we can say monthly.
Monthly. Okay.
Good, monthly
expenses.
expenses, very good. O sea, mensuales, right? Very good, excellent, Pau. So you need to determine your expenses or your monthly expenses. The income is the money that enters to your life. The expenses are the money that it's going out, no? So the income is the money that enters, like this guy, and the expenses are the ones that you spend, no? Muy bien, that's it. And finally, well, basically, es como un proceso, una explicación muy burda, pero that's basically what it has to be done. You need to know how much is your income, you need to know how much is your expenses, and you need to like divide your income into those expenses, plus other things like, for example, the saving money, So in that case, you need to divide your income into those expenses, right? Muy bien. Basically, that's what it has to be done. Ready? Normally, a financial coach helps you to do that. It's a person who helps you to do that. Very good. So today we're going to be working about two different things. First, describing a little bit about our professions or different professions. What are the important characteristics of those professions? And talking about those professions in personal process. An impersonal process, it's a process that we explain, and it's the same for everyone who has to do the process. So in that case, it's impersonal because it's not necessary to use the subject. Yeah, the subject is not necessary. What we normally do in those processes is to use the passive voice, right? So when instead of saying that you need to know how much, which it's everybody, it's not only you, it's everybody. So I can do it in passive voice. For example, information can be collected or can be gotten. That's why the question was, how can a budget be prepared? ¿Cómo puede ser un presupuesto preparado, right? It was in passive voice because in that case, it's not only a person, it's for everyone, right? We're going to divide this part in this class into two parts. First, we're going to talk about the impersonal processes. Ready? This is for explaining any process at any job. Yes? For example, if we are a chef, we can explain how should be tinto prepared. If we are a public accountant, we can explain how should taxes be prepared. It's a possibility, no? So how taxes should be prepared. Or for example, me, I am a teacher. I can describe, for example, how vocabulary must be studied, right? So in that case, those impersonal processes are things that everybody do in the same way, ready? For for being in the same way, it's not necessary to use a subject. It's better to use the passive voice. So remember that when we have the passive voice, we have one important thing, and it's that we are going to use the verb to be plus the verb in past participle. In this case, I can state like that, or if I want, since it's a process and I can make some recommendations or obligations, I can include a modal verb into that verb to be. So in that case, for example, I would say, no sé, vocabulary or the words must be separated. That is the first part, separated, yes? And then no sé, the words need to be repeated, yes? So in that case, what I'm doing, it's using a modal verb, must or need to, then the verb to be, and then the verb in past participle. Reported, yes, repeated, separated, divided, prepared, all of that, right? So for example, here, instead of saying, you need to know how much is your income, right? We could say, for example, your income needs to be determined or needs to be identified. Yes, for example, instead of using you need to do that, I can you do it using the passive voice, right? Putting first the object at the beginning, change it to the first part, and then combine modal verb, verb to be, and then the verb in past participle. Needs to be identified, right? Or for example, here, the expenses, I can change the modal verb, of course. Need to, it's one option, but I can use any other. For example, your expenses should be determined. Determined. And then again, modal verb should be and the verb in past participle using the object at the beginning, right? So that's how can we describe processes in which the subject is not necessary because it's the same process for everybody. So I can do it using the passive voice. The last one normally would be you need to divide your income. Dejémoslo hasta ahí. You need to divide your income. How would you do that into the passive voice? You need to divide your income. Transform that into the passive voice.
Teacher, your income need to divide it
Good,
into
very
the
good. Into
into
the
expenses.
expenses. Bueno, perfecto, todo completo. Your income needs to, of course, como income es algo que no es humano, es it, por lo tanto quedaría en tercera persona, needs to, right? Your income needs to be divided. Divided into into those expenses, ¿no? Entonces, one more time, modal verb, ¿cierto? Verb to be and the verb in past participle, right? Needs to be divided, should be determined, needs to be identified. I can use can, could, must, have to, has to, depends, right? Entonces, teacher, bueno, no sé, les pregunto, how can a budget be prepared? Ah, bueno, teacher, first, your income needs to be determined. Second, the expenses should be determined. And finally, your income needs to be divided into ¿cierto? Entonces, it's better than using you. ¿Por qué? You, it's extra, it's not necessary because it's not a specific subject. It's for every single person who reads the same process. It's going to be the same steps, right? Question number 2, the question that we have after that. How should be a tinto or a coffee prepared? What is the process? In this case, I already give you some recommendations for vocabulary, but that is not the question. It was an example. But how is a coffee, a black coffee, or a tinto, what we call tinto, prepared? What is the first step? What is the second step? What is the third step? What do you say? Nobody knows?
Tinto should be prepared by water, but hot water.
Ok, entonces, first, water. Lo primero que hay que hacer es que el agua tiene que ser calentada, right? So, water has to
Okay.
be, yes, Paul?
Teacher, your first must to be heard water.
Esa sería en voz activa, normal. You have to heat water. Pero en voz pasiva, para no usar you, ponemos el objeto primero. Entonces, water has to be heated.
Okay.
Yes, very good. That's the first part. Muy bien.
Teacher,
Second. Yes,
en este caso se puede, como estás ahorita diciendo que no es necesario colocar como you, sino entonces en este caso sería needs hot water, coffee, sugar, algo así, o tiene que ir.
Tiene que ir uno al principio que ya no va a ser you, efectivamente ya no es necesario colocar you, sino que va a ser el objeto. Entonces, ¿qué es lo que necesitas calentar o qué es lo que necesita ser
El
calentado?
agua.
El agua.
El
Entonces, el
agua.
agua va primero.
Ok,
Segundo.
luego el café.
Exacto, entonces
Coffee.
coffee, for example, coffee,
Okay.
must,
Has to be
digamos. Bueno,
into
has to
the
o must be added, ¿cierto? Added
Okay.
into the water. Perfecto, very good. Entonces el café tiene que ser añadido, right? Muy bien, excellent. And number 3,
Sugar.
sugar. Could. It's a possibility. It's not an obligation, but sugar could be put or could be poured. Pour it's also similar to added into coffee.
O en ese
into,
caso sería como mejor endulzante, lo que hay veces las personas.
yes, puede ser sugar o puede ser like sweeteners, que son como endulzantes, stevia, well, all of that shit. Yes, so in that case, the process is going to be described starting with the object. Ya no va a ser describir como tú tienes que hacer esto, tú tienes que hacer lo otro, tú tienes que hacer, porque en todos va a ser tú y es repetitivo. En cambio de hacer eso, voy a empezar con el objeto. El agua debe ser calentada, el café debe ser agregado, el azúcar podría ser añadida, ¿cierto? So that's better. ¿Listo, guys? ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo van con ese proceso en personal process? Es passive voice con modal verbs. Básicamente es passive voice with modal verbs. Questions, difficulties, problems?
No, teacher.
No, all good. Listo. Tengan en cuenta que siempre después de un verbo modal, el verbo siguiente va a ir en infinitivo. Como el verbo siguiente es be, pues siempre después del modal, en este caso, ¿no? En voz pasiva, va a ir be, ¿cierto? Has to be, must be, could be, y luego, sí, el verbo en past participle. Aquí me faltó poured. Added, heated, depende si es regular, irregular, pero siempre es modal verb, be y el verbo en past participle. ¿Listo? ¿Ready? Ready? Bueno, guys,
Yeah.
very good. So, in that case, that's going to be the easy part, right? So, what about if I ask you one simple question? Imagine that you have a cell phone there in your hands. Yes, you have a cell phone. Let me just grab my cell phone. Yeah, you have your cell phone there, right? The question is pretty simple. How? Imagine that you work in customer service. I am an old person. I don't know anything about technology. And somebody told me like, send me a voice note. But I said, ¿qué voice note? ¿Qué es eso? Entonces, how is a voice note or a voice message sent in WhatsApp? How is a voice message sent in WhatsApp? What is the first step? I have my cell phone here. It's on, but it's locked. Está prendido, but it's locked. Está bloqueado. So what is the first step?
Maybe the password must be put it.
Bien, very good. So the password must be put. Put es un verbo irregular, no cambia, el past participle es igual. Entonces, password needs to be put. Bueno, en mi caso se desbloquea con el dedo, so I just put my finger and that's it, ¿no? Luego, ¿qué hago? I have my cell phone like that. So, what do I do next?
Teacher, ¿cómo se dice?
Teacher,
Buscar el
looking,
contacto de la
looking,
persona.
Pero antes del contacto tengo que...
looking the application.
Exactly.
Buscar
The
la
app.
aplicación. Ok.
Pues muy bien, the app
The app must be look
más bien open, right?
open. Okay.
Ajá. Listo. Ahora sí, the contact. Pues I have to have my app, beep, right? Ahora sí, the contact what?
Must be
Or let's say have to be, for example, has to be,
okay.
para no
Okay.
usar siempre must, just has to be,
Look
yeah, like chosen or selected.
shows. Okay. Yes.
Muy bien, entonces I select my contact, done. Listo, ya, that's it. Ya I open the conversation. ¿Qué hago luego? It's a voice message, ¿no? So, ¿qué hago ahí? What do I have to do there?
Bravo.
Record the message.
¿Y cómo? ¿Cómo lo hago?
No. Look, Looking
Teacher
for
full.
the record.
Bueno, okay, so ahí hay un
Record.
icon of a microphone. Yes, so I would say
Okay.
the green icon.
Mm.
The green icon should be pressed. Entonces, I need to press the button. Ready? And after that, ahora sí, finally, the message, how do you say el mensaje puede ser grabado? Finalmente el mensaje puede
Could
ser
be.
grabado. Could o can, muy bien. Cualquiera de las dos, could or can. So you said the message could or the message can be recorded.
Record.
Muy bien, very good. Ready? Entonces, básicamente es como se usa la voz pasiva con verbos modales para describir ese tipo de procesos y decir lo que debe ser hecho o lo que podría ser hecho o lo que tiene que ser hecho. Ready? Questions hasta ahí, difficulties or problems?
No question, teacher.
No questions, right? Listo, very good. Bueno, so for example, here in our immediate context, we have a process which is the process of your course, no? So in this course, first, the activities need to be completed. ¿Quién? Todos tienen que hacer lo mismo, por eso uso passive voice, no uso you, ta, ta, ta. No es solo Vivi, no es solo Pau, no es solo Nata, son todos. Entonces, en ese caso, the activities need to be completed. Is for everybody. Then, the classes, esto sí no es obligatorio, entonces the classes should be, si quieren, ¿no? Si tienen el tiempo, the classes should be programmed. Así como ustedes muy juiciosamente lo han hecho, the classes should be programmed, right? Also, the checkpoints need to be, developed, ¿no? Desarrollados, developed, right? Y así. Entonces, it's for describing processes. Procesos en todo tipo de cosas, de cocina, de industriales, bueno, all of that, it's going to be the same. It's just calling impersonal processes, donde la persona no es importante, es más importante la acción, el proceso que se lleva a cabo. So in that case, it's better to use the passive. ¿Listo? Bueno, guys, good. So in this case, we have that was the first part in which we talk about the personal processes, but we have other questions. The other question was, who is a financial coach? And then Daniel told us, it's a person who help you understand finances. Listo, very good, excellent, that's great. Guys, for example, I think, Vivi, you are a psychologist, right?
Yes, teacher, yes.
Yes, very good. Paula Velilla, it's a environmental engineer, right?
Yes, teacher.
Good, very good. Pau Porras, what's your profession, honey?
Business administration.
Business manager. Business
Business
administration es
manager.
la carrera. Business
Okay.
manager is your profession. Muy bien, very good. And Pau Mosquera, it's public accountant, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, teacher.
Mucha memoria, okay, good. Daniel, what is your profession?
I am a student
Student in school or in university?
in school.
In school, great, okay, very good. Do you have like a ideal career for the future?
Maybe art.
Maybe what,
I
sorry?
don't know. Maybe art, but I don't know what what can I what can I say it.
Okay, very good. Probably
The
like a
career.
plastic art or graphic
Yeah,
designer or something like that.
yeah.
Okay, very good. That's great. Karen, what is your profession, my dear? Or the career that you're studying?
Preschooler teacher.
Ah, yeah, you're a preschool teacher. Good, okay. My God, difficult. Lisa, what is your profession, dear? Lisa, are you there? No, Lisa is not there. Hannah, what is your profession, my dear?
¿Cuál es mi profesión?
Mhm.
I am civil engineer.
Civil engineer. Muy bien. Entonces, everybody has a different profession there, right? What we're going to do now here is trying to define my profession. In other different class, at the beginning of this level, we work on the use of this word, yes, who. And we were talking about that with this word who, we can introduce extra information about the people, right? For example, I am a philologist. I am not a bachelor, but I'm a philologist. Yes. And many people tell me like, this is un filósofo, but no, philologist is different, no? So philologist is a person, who studies a language, from its origins, o sea, de su origen, right? So only from its origins. That's my thing. Yes, that's what I am. That's the very basic definition of my profession. How do I do it? Very simple. I have two sentences. The first sentence is in the one I am defining the person, saying is a person, is a profession, is a professional, so on. And then in the second part, the main information. The main information is the idea that I want to transmit about that subject. Ready? So very fastly, tell me or prepare the definition of your profession, right? What is a civil engineer? What is an environmental engineer? What is a preschooler teacher? What's a psychologist? What's a plastic artist? Well, all of those, right? Only you, who are the people who study and work on that, you can tell me one definition of that. So I want to listen. Okay, Luisa is an interior designer. Bueno, who is an interior designer?
Teacher.
Dime, Pau.
Okay. Environmental engineer is a person who study problematic environmental problematic in the city, in the planet, in the water, the atmosphere.
Espérame, voy. So, good. So an environmental engineer is a person who
Studies,
one person, exactly, muy bien, who studies, third person,
study
who studies environmental problems.
environmental problem
Oh my God, problems.
in the city.
In the
Or
city,
around
in
the
the
city.
water, or around the
Other-
city. You could say in different contexts, no? In different
Yes,
contexts, in
teacher.
jungle, so on, so on. Perfecto, Paula, excellent. So that's a definition of her profession. Muy bien, thank you. Anybody else? Who wants to define?
The business manager is a person who studies strategies to grow a company.
Good, very good. So a business manager is a person who studies strategies to grow
Or generate strategies.
or who generate strategies. Very good. Well, who studies and generates strategies. No, you could use both to help a company grow. Muy bien, perfect. That's it. Thank you, Paula. Anybody else? Anybody else wants to give your definition of your profession?
Teacher, sí.
Dale, Luis.
Clinical psychologist, evaluation and diagnosis, and research in the field of the psychological or mental disorders.
Okay, got it. Entonces, first, you said the profession, no? Clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologist. But then it's important to put the definition. So in that case, a clinical psychologist is a professional, so it's a professional who, y luego sí lo que quieres decir. Entonces, it's a professional who ¿Me repites, por favor, lo que dijiste sobre
Okay. Evaluation. Or,
so, evaluate,
evaluation.
evaluates,
Always. And diagnósticos,
diagnose, diagnosis, ajá, and,
treatment, o treatment, sí.
and treats,
And
ajá,
treatment.
good. Mental disorders, ¿no? You said
Yes, yes.
mental disorders.
Disorders.
Muy bien. Entonces, Vivi, en este caso, bueno, claro, después de la primera oración va el who y luego lo que quieres decir. Después
Yeah,
del who,
okay.
usualmente va a ir un verbo. Entonces, en este caso, no puede ir evaluation, diagnosis and treatments, porque eso sería como
Okay.
evaluaciones, diagnósticos y tratamientos, sino que evalúa, diagnostica y trata
Mm,
desórdenes mentales, ¿right? Entonces, en ese caso, sería
okay.
como el verbo, como tal de esa palabra, ¿vale? ¿Vale?
Vale, vale.
Pero muy bien,
Gracias.
excellent, very good, that's it. Listo. Anybody else?
Yeah, teacher.
Anna, go.
A civil engineer is a person who directs and designs construction works.
Very good. So in that case, a civil engineer, it's a person who directs and designs construction works or construction campaigns. You know, all of that. Muy bien, Hannah. Excellent. Good, very good. Okay, Luisa dice por acá. An interior designer is a person who studies design techniques to make the best visual and physical use of space. Perfecto. Entonces, all of that, all of those definitions are used or are done with our friends, the relative clauses, nuestras amigas las cláusulas relativas, which in that case are going to be for who, if it's a person, which, if it's an object or a place, where, specifically if it's a place, right? North, south, east, and west. And when it's a moment or when it's time. Today we're going to focus especially in who and which, right? But previously, before, we have seen about the defining clause. When we say, okay, I am a person who no sé qué, I am a person who blah, 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 right? It's easy. So in that case, for example, the first sentence is the defining clause, the defining sentence in which I said is a, and then the subject that I want. It's a woman, it's a place, it's a moment, or it's a night, yes? Depending if I am talking about a person or if I am talking about an object or what, right? For example, I said, pues in all of the examples we said it's a person. Porque pues hablamos de profesiones. For that reason, we use it's a person or it's a professional, right? An engineer is a person, a civil engineer is a person, a philologist is a person, yes? Because pues las profesiones son personas, right? So in that case, that's why we use person or professional, ready? And then we use the relative clause. El relative clause va a depender de qué estoy hablando. Si estoy hablando de gente, pues el relative clause será ¿cuál?
Who
That.
for that?
Who or that.
Yeah.
Very good, excellent. Yes,
For
who or that. Ready? Entonces, pero si estoy hablando de un lugar, pues can be where or which.
Where.
Where or which. Y si estoy hablando de un momento, pues I'm going to use when. Ready? The important thing is that here I have to use the first sentence is going to be using, or is going to use, sorry, the verb to be, and then a definition of the subject. It's a woman, it's a person, it's a profession. For example, no teacher, quiero escribir a mi jefe. Listo, good. My boss is a man. Ya es más específico, ya no solamente persona, sino hombre, right? So my boss is a man who is very strict, but effective. Right? So in that case, I am describing what I want to say about my boss. Quiere decir que es estricto pero efectivo. But first, it's necessary that I define the person. Ready? ¿En qué momento voy a usar estas oraciones? Especialmente cuando, my dear Paula Mosquera, help me to read here the first part.
Essential information about the subject.
When I want to give essential information about the subject. Or when I, second part.
Introduce the subject for the first time.
or when I introduce the subject for the first time. It means, como aquí nadie conoce a mi jefe, lo voy a presentar por primera vez. So in that case, en ese caso, it's when I use defining clauses, ¿cierto? Estoy presentando o estoy dando información muy esencial sobre la persona. So en ese caso voy a usar defining clauses. Ready? Que son las que ya habíamos visto. I prefer the people who, I am someone who, ¿cierto? Ya hemos visto como I am someone who is no sé qué, que lo usamos en la semana 1. I am someone who is relaxed. I am someone who likes to study. I am someone who no sé qué, que de hecho se usa en el checkpoint de la semana 2, ¿cierto? So in that case, I am someone who, sencillo. It's defining clause, right? Sencillo. I can use it also with places or with things, right? Ah, guys, one thing. Igual lo vamos a ver en otro nivel, pero más o menos. When we have places, for example, my hometown, I can use two relative clauses. One is which, the other one is where. Where lo uso cuando voy a describir lo que sucede en ese lugar. Entonces, my hometown is a place where you can relax. Donde te puedes relajar, o sea, lo que pasa en ese lugar. Pero si voy a escribir una característica del lugar, por ejemplo, que es grande, pequeño, frío, caliente, then in that case I'm going to use which. My hometown, it's a place which has a very hot weather. Yes. So, el cual tiene un clima muy caliente, right? So, in that case, when I have lo que sucede en ese lugar, where. Cuando voy a escribir cómo es o el cual es, entonces uso which. ¿Listo? Cuando hablo de lugares. Cuando hablo de personas, pues siempre voy a usar who or not. ¿Listo? ¿Ready? Hasta ahí cómo van. Good. Questions, más o menos, more or less.
No question, teacher.
No question. Básicamente, pues es lo que ya hicimos, ¿cierto? Una definición de algo. Entonces, a civil engineer, it's a person who directs and designs construction works, ¿cierto? A clinical psychologist, it's a professional who evaluates, diagnoses, and analyzes, business manager is a professional who, Ya, lo es, normal. That's it, right? But sometimes in the second clause, which is the main information, the main clause, I can have two possibilities. One possibility, which is the most common one, is that the sentence starts with the verb and the complement, que es la que usamos ahorita. ¿Cierto? Después del who, usamos todos un verbo. Who studies, who designs, who studies one more time, who evaluates, who creates, ¿no? Who designs, all of that, right? So it's the most common one. But in other cases, I can use also subject, verb, and complement. In what cases? If the subject number 1 is different from the subject number 2, I have to use it in both sentences. But if the subject number 1 is the same as in the subject number 2, then I don't have to use it. I can omit it. Si el sujeto 1 es el mismo que el que está después, lo omito. Pero si es diferente, voy a tener que mencionar. For example, a ver, with the question before. Who is a financial coach? Yes, in that case, a financial coach is a person who helps you understand finances, porque en ambos casos el subject es financial coach, ¿cierto? Pero I can create some sentences in which the subject is different. For example, a financial coach is a person who people look for help. Entonces, un coach financiero es una persona a quien la gente lo busca por ayuda, right? So in that case, the subject, number 1, which is financial coach, is not the same as the second one, which is people. So that's why I can sometimes use a different subject in the second sentence, right? Algunas veces es el mismo, en la mayoría de casos, en algunas veces es diferente. Si es diferente, voy a tener que mencionarlo de nuevo, sin problema. So, ready? This is, for example, let's say, another one here, for example. Clinical psychologist, clinical Oh my God, sorry. How do you spell that? Wait. Yeah, ahora sí. Psychologist is a doctor. Is a doctor who patients talk to, right? So in that case, it's an example. I don't know if this is true or not. No estoy seguro si es verdad o no. But it's a case in which the subject of the first sentence, which is clinical psychologist, is not the same as the subject in the second sentence, which is patients. So, como es diferente el sujeto, debo mencionarlo. Los dos sujetos debo mencionarlos en cada oración, ¿vale? Entonces, a clinical psychologist is a doctor who patients talk to, al cual o a quien los pacientes le hablan, ¿no? It's an example, right? But that's it. So, algunas veces es el mismo, algunas veces es diferente. Es decir, que algunas veces va who o el relative clause y luego el verbo directamente, otras va a ir who y luego el otro sujeto. ¿Listo, guys? ¿Qué tal? Good? Questions?
Teacher, ¿me puede hacer un ejemplo en el caso donde no es necesario colocar en la primera parte y eliminar en este caso el primer sujeto porque va repetido en el segundo?
Claro, of course, el mismo que tú hiciste, Vivi, por ejemplo. A clinical psychologist is a professional who evaluates diagnosis and treats. En ese caso no tuviste que usar el segundo sujeto porque el segundo sujeto también es clinical
Mm,
psychologist. Entonces
ya,
no
ya,
es
ya,
necesario usarlo. Entonces después del who lo que va es el verbo directamente. ¿Qué es lo que
ya,
hace
ya,
esa persona? ¿Ready?
ya. Ah, ya.
Exacto.
Ok, gracias.
Listo, muy bien, very good. Bueno, guys, excelente, excelente. Listo. Entonces, hasta ahí básicamente es algo que ya habíamos visto, como algo prácticamente lo mismo que habíamos visto, de pronto con un tema diferente que era el de los trabajos, pero básicamente es lo mismo. Ahora, we're going to have something different. Esto lo usamos cuando tengo que presentar a la persona por primera vez. Estoy diciendo, vea, esto es una persona, quien ta, 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 ¿cierto? Lo que estamos haciendo es definiendo. Pero, if I am talking about non-essential information, or if I want to give complementary information about the subject, yes, then in that case I am going to use the non-defining clauses. En ese caso voy a usar las non-defining clauses. ¿Qué es una non-defining clause? Es una oración que no me está diciendo quién es la persona. Eso yo ya lo sé. Para eso ya usé una defining clause. Es una persona que ta, ta, ta. En este caso no. No está definiendo la persona ni el sujeto. The not defining clause lo que está diciendo es darme información complementaria o aclaratoria sobre un sujeto. ¿Cómo se hace? Muy sencillo. It's going to be the subject, comma, the non-defining clause, comma, and then the main clause. Here in the middle, what I have is the explanation or the complementary information. La información complementaria. The complementary information. And in the end, I'm going to have the main information, o sea, la información principal, the main information. Lo que está aquí en la mitad simplemente es un paréntesis, una aclaración que quiero hacer sobre ese sujeto. ¿Ready? Que no es directamente lo que quiero decir, sino que quiero aclararlo antes de dar la información real. Por ejemplo, a lawyer who works really hard earns good money. O sea, no cualquier abogado gana buen dinero. ¿Cuál? Específicamente el que trabaja muy duro, right? O, for example, a video game which is for adults, no cualquiera, sino el que es para adultos, it's more expensive, ¿cierto? O sea, for example, the games with violence or all of that, they are more expensive, yes? O, for example, a party, pero no cualquiera, sino a party where you can relax is more satisfying, right? Entonces, lo que hago en este non-defining clause, entre esas comas, siempre va a llevar comas, es una aclaración sobre ese sujeto antes de dar la información original o la información principal. Por ejemplo, something that I always have to explain about the philologist. I already know that, bueno, you already know that my profession is philologist, ¿cierto? Ya saben que yo soy filólogo, I'm a philologist. Ready? So I'm saying that a philologist, yes, y siempre tengo que aclararlo, a philologist who is different from philosophist, right? Philosophist, right? Or philosopher. So in that case, who's different from philosophist, works with languages, right? Entonces, lo que quiere decir es que un filólogo trabaja con lenguas, pero siempre debo aclarar, como un paréntesis en la mitad, que es diferente de un filósofo, right? Entonces, in that case, esa cláusula de la mitad, lo que va a hacer es simplemente dar una aclaración sobre el sujeto previamente expuesto. ¿Ready? No es lo que quiero decir, es simplemente una aclaración que quiero dar antes de dar la información real. ¿Ok, guys? Más o menos, more or less.
Yes, teacher.
Very good. Entonces, try to think in something that you want to clarify about your profession. Yes? For example, no sé, an environmental engineer, comma, who works with companies, for example, comma, has to travel a lot, por ejemplo, ¿no? Entonces, un ingeniero ambiental que trabaje con cierta compañía has to travel a lot. Yes? No cualquiera, sino specifically that. A business manager who works in the hotel business, comma and comma, has to be traveling a lot, for example. Yes, entonces un, how do you say that? Administrador de empresas que trabaje con hoteles, específicamente ese, ta. ¿Listo? Rápidamente, try to think in one clarification about your job.
Teacher, en mi caso casi siempre, o sea, casi siempre no, siempre confunden mucho la psicología, o sea, la psicología con los tipos de ramas, o sea, por decir que eres psicólogo, creen que pues ya puedes diagnosticar o puedes, digamos, hacer como cualquier tipo de tratamiento, y no, pues digamos que hay psicólogos organizacionales que se encargan solamente como de la parte de contratación y bienestar. El jurídico
Exactly.
lo mismo y
Exactly.
pues el social totalmente también distinto y el educativo pues igual, pero siempre que uno escucha que dicen el psicólogo y uno, incluso hay compañeros que están ya terminando la carrera y les dice uno que se va a especializar, no en psicología, pero en qué rama, o sea, cómo se,
First.
ajá.
This, for example, you said a clinical psychologist
Ujú.
who specializes in mental disorders. Por ejemplo, no estoy seguro,
Sí,
pero es un ejemplo. In mental disorders.
sí, en los desórdenes mentales,
Exactly.
exactamente.
Entonces,
Ujú.
no
Pues
sé,
es
a
decir, un
clinical
psicólogo
psychologist.
organizacional nunca va, o sea, no, no es que no lo puede hacer, claro que lo puede hacer, pero digamos que en este caso no está enfocado en la psicología clínica, que va más enfocado a las enfermedades, a los trastornos mentales, que digamos
Exactly.
ujú.
Por ejemplo, acá tengo que usar dos oraciones. La primera digo, un psicólogo clínico, quien se especializa en desórdenes mentales, entonces lo que quiero decir es que no está enfocado en gestión humana, por ejemplo, ¿yes? O
Exactamente, sí. Recursos humanos.
en recursos humanos, eso.
Eso.
Entonces, a clinical psychologist who specializes in mental disorders, ese es el paréntesis que tengo ahí, pero no coloco paréntesis, sino coloco es comas, right? Entonces,
Ah, ok.
who specializes in mental disorders is, después de la segunda coma, va lo que quiero decir, is not focused in human resources.
Ujú,
Right?
recursos humanos.
Entonces,
Ujú.
that's good. Exactly. Muy bien. Thank you, Bibi. That is a good example. Listo. Anybody else? Any
Teacher, pero
clarification?
siempre tiene que venir el who, o sea, tengo que especificar,
Tiene que venir
o sea,
el relative clause dependiendo si es una persona, si es un lugar, si es whatever, right?
ok, o sea, siempre debe ir el who, el when, o,
Exactly. Va a ir en el, como es
ok,
un relative non-defining clause, entonces va a ir en la oración de la mitad, la que está entre las comas. ¿Ready?
ok.
Ujú.
O sea, yo puedo decir, por ejemplo, public accounting, who professional who work with numbers, but not always is a good mathematics.
Good, very good. There's a public accountant who usually, let's say, who usually works with numbers, ¿cierto? Pues no siempre, pero let's say should be, ¿no? Debería ser, should be good at math. Claro que sí, muy bien, very good. ¿Vale? Entonces, un contador público, quien usualmente trabaja con números, que debería ser bueno en las
Debe ser
matemáticas, right? Exacto, muy bien.
entonces.
Exacto. ¿Ready? Listo. Pau Porras.
The business manager
Ujú.
who usually generate tools to different companies
Ujú.
to increase them para su crecimiento.
Yes, to increase. Yes, what happened? ¿Qué pasa con él?
Eh, who really generate tools to increase ingresos.
Good, yes. Entonces,
Diferencia.
pero te acuerdas que tienes que tener dos oraciones. Esa es la primera, que es como el paréntesis que quieres aclarar, que quieres decir un administrador de empresas, quien usualmente genera herramientas para incrementar los ingresos. ¿Qué pasa con ellos? ¿Reciben buen sueldo? ¿No reciben buen sueldo? ¿Tienen estabilidad? No sé, digamos, ¿cuál es lo que realmente quieres expresar?
eh, should be no sé cómo decirte que se posiciona o tiene un buen posicionamiento.
Good, of course, very good. Entonces, bueno, ya no debería ser should, sino a business manager who usually espera que me faltó, generates tools to increase incomes, yes, has good positioning in the field. Good positioning, wait, oh my God, I misspelled. Positioning in the job market, por ejemplo, in the job market, en el mercado laboral, the job market. Right? Muy bien, entonces, lo primero que te querías explicar es que un business manager hace esto, que usualmente genera herramientas para incrementar los ingresos. Lo segundo que querías decir es que, bueno, alguna persona que tiene esa característica, pues, tiene un buen posicionamiento en el mercado laboral, ¿no? Entonces, eso es lo que va después de la segunda coma, que es lo que realmente quieres decir. ¿Listo, Pau? Ready? Good. Bueno, guys, anybody else? Last one, último. ¿Ya?
Teacher,
Dale, Pau. Good.
an engineer who can work in different parts,
Ujú.
uh, generates more money, no?
Yes, very good. Espérame. Who can
Different
work
jobs.
en jobs. Muy bien. Generate o earns, como gana más dinero,
Okay,
earns
I heard, yes, more
more money.
money.
Muy bien. O more salary puede ser. Muy bien. An environmental engineer, pero especialmente quien pueda trabajar en diferentes trabajos o quien pueda tener diferentes trabajos, gana más dinero, obviamente, right? So in that case, muy bien. Especialmente aquellos que puedan tener más trabajos. Entonces, básicamente, digamos que esta relative clause, non-defining clause, se usa para eso, para describir cosas complementarias o adicionales, ¿cierto? Que no son básicamente la definición de de ese sujeto, sino es algo como una aclaración, como un paréntesis que quiero poner ahí antes que me ayuda a complementar la información real. ¿Listo? ¿Qué tal? Good questions, problems? Easy, difficult? Ahí sí.
Good, teacher.
Good.
Muy bien, very good, excelente.
Teacher,
Entonces, yeah,
teacher,
very good. It's most important that it's clear. Entonces,
teacher.
guys, basically, well, that was the non-defining clause. We have the two different types of clauses, defining and non-defined. ¿Listo? And also the impersonal processes, which was about passive voice with modal verbs. ¿Listo? Passive voice with modal verbs. This is going to be using the checkpoint of the week number 8, but the next week I explain. La próxima semana les explico el checkpoint de la semana número 8. ¿Listo? ¿Preguntas por ahí? Escuché que alguien me llamó, pregunta.
No
No,
question.
teacher.
No,
No, teacher.
no questions. Listo, babies. Entonces, por el momento, eso sería todo, guys. Recuerden que nos queda una semanita más de clase para entrar ya con el intermedio 2. Entonces, aceleren un poquito con esas actividades, checkpoints, lo que tengan atrasado, envíenlo todo así. Y pues ojalá que este fin de semana ya nos pongamos casi el día, ¿vale? Recuerden que igual son 3 requisitos, 80%, o sea, como hasta la semana 6 o 7 más o menos, haber aprobado el 80% de las actividades y una nota superior a 80. ¿Listo? Básicamente son los 3 requisitos. Ah, y el 90% de avance. ¿Listo? Entonces, esos son los 3 requisitos para poder activar el siguiente nivel. ¿Listo? Para que lo tengan en cuenta. Y ya, guys, entonces, pues por hoy eso sería todo. Si tienen preguntas, me escriben a WhatsApp. Nos vemos la otra semanita. Ya una sola clasecita, la otra semana es una sola clasecita, pero posiblemente la dividamos en dos, como hicimos la semana pasada. ¿Listo? Entonces, yo les aviso igual la otra semana, pero pues ahí vamos hablando, ¿vale? Entonces, que les vaya bien, que
Okay,
descansen. See you
teacher,
later.
thank
Thank you,
you. See
teacher.
you
Bye,
the
bye.
next.
Igualmente.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye bye,
Bye.
teacher.
Bye, and see you later.